The official split of the Church into Orthodox and Catholic took place in 1054 and went down in history as the Great Schism. Nevertheless, 100 years before that, there were conflicts between the Western and Eastern churches on various occasions, both dogmatic and purely ritualistic. For example, there was a funny dispute about what kind of bread to eat during communion. In general, it can be said that in reality, Rome and Constantinople were simply struggling for influence in the regions, particularly in the Balkans. Each side wanted to expand its own sphere of influence. One of the most important reasons for the division of the Church was the filioque dispute. The Orthodox speak of the Holy Spirit coming only from God the Father, while Catholics add that he also comes from God the Son. This seemingly minor difference has been the cause of centuries of disputes that led to the split of the Church. Only Catholics have the concept of purgatory. Purgatory implies that a person does not immediately go to hell for his or her sins, but has a chance to be purified after death, and, having passed purgatory, go to heaven. Purgatory is essentially an intermediate stage between heaven and hell, a temporary step. The Orthodox deny the existence of purgatory. The personality of the Virgin Mary is also perceived differently in different faiths. In the Catholic version, the Virgin Mary is more idolized. She is credited with the absence of original sin and the Immaculate Conception, not to be confused with the Immaculate Conception of Jesus Christ, and is also believed to have been taken to heaven after death. The Orthodox take a simpler view of her and regard her as a human being. As many people know, the Orthodox have no equivalent to the title of Pope, meaning that there is no actual vicar of God on earth and no actual head of the Church. The title of Patriarch is much less important than the title of Pope. Moreover, there are many Orthodox patriarchs, but the Pope is one. The Pope is generally considered to be infallible. He cannot even make mistakes. Also, the Orthodox do not have such a rigid centralization of power. In other words, to be Orthodox, it is enough to be faithful. There are many Orthodox churches in the world, be they Russian, Serbian, or Georgian. But the Catholic churches are under the actual control of the Pope, and that's all. There are many differences in rituals and traditions, but it is worth noting that these differences cannot always be clearly delineated. After all, there are churches with dogma of one kind but rituals of another. For example, Greek Catholics use Orthodox rites but are subordinate to the Pope and are dogmatically Catholic. In our issue, we will talk about the most common cases. Orthodox are baptized from right to left, while Catholics are baptized the other way around, from left to right. Also, baptism is done with 3 fingers in Orthodoxy, while Catholics baptize with 2 fingers, or the palm of the hand. Orthodox priests must wear a beard. Catholics, on the contrary, go without a beard. Also, the difference between priests of different denominations is that Catholic priests are obliged to take a vow of celibacy, while the Orthodox can have families. By the way, the Orthodox can divorce, but Catholics are strictly forbidden to do so. As many have noticed, in Orthodoxy and Catholicism, crosses and crucifixes are different. Catholicism uses a 4-sided cross. Confession is also handled differently. Catholics, as we know from many movies, do it in private, behind a wooden screen. In general, Catholics have a separate place for it. The Orthodox, on the other hand, do confession simply in the middle of the church. Catholic and Orthodox Easter take place on different days. This is due to the fact that Catholics, for its calculation, use the Gregorian calendar, which today is used by most countries in the world. But the Orthodox use the Julian calendar to count Easter. I have given the most general and understandable differences. In fact, there are a lot of them. Some of them are purely dogmatic and extremely subtle to understand. What differences do you know about? Write in the comments below this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel to not miss new videos.
I never answer to no, man, I still go, go.